was what Mr. Mayor said then, and I remember you saying, like, overlay zones, you really don't want them to be developed. Wondering why that land keeps getting brought up when we're 100% sure that it would be developed. We know that Mr. Kitchell is willing to sell. I'm sure you guys know that. I know we all know who the builder would be. Mr. Mayor, I'm sure you know who that is. He actually contributed to your last campaign. So my question is why are we going to reintroduce this? You had the town speak out already against this, and understanding that there's other situations and other things, I do want to know why, this keeps coming up.
Let me take the last part of your comment first. I have no business relationship with this developer, although the innuendo that you just made suggests I do. I do not. He was free to contribute to my campaign. He did so, and the campaign accepted it. Period. Beyond that, I have no communications with Mr. Forgione. I have not spoken to Mr. Forgione through all of these dealings, yet you insist on trying to...
I made no insist, and I made no mention of it.
It's called innuendo, sir, and you know quite well what you're doing.
I made a
Having
statement.
said that, these zones are being looked at by the township committee. They're being re-explored, as was said at the last meeting, for alternatives to removing them from those areas. I can't comment beyond that, but I'll turn once again to council if you want Fred at this point to make any comments on where we are with this to satisfy this gentleman's question.
Yeah, nobody's bringing that property back up. It just hasn't, we're not able to yet formally decide to put it away, because there was an agreement that included that property to be the overlay. And when you said the words, and I understand what you're saying about, well, we don't want that, we didn't think that would be developed. The feeling was it was more remote, that would be developed versus some of the other projects that are going forward, because there was, with respect to that property, it was sort of attractive from the standpoint that it has wetlands, power lines, it has property that would necessitate likely some type of cleanup based on the use. But what the committee promised that night and what we've been working diligently on is to see if in fact we can change, because we're contractually bound by it to meet our obligation, if we can change that location for another parcel in town that would be sort of meet those similar objectives, that maybe it would be remote for that to happen. And just as a way of fact, the fair share housing, which is settled with the majority of municipalities now in Morris County, they really haven't, they have not changed an overlay type zone from their agreement, because they don't really want to get into starting to move these around. But I want to say that we're working diligently to see if that can occur or exhaust that option. And I know that doesn't give you all of the answers, but if I say here tonight exactly where we are, I can tell you that some of the parties that we're negotiating with, it'll affect the outcome. I think we're trying to really resolve that.
And I agree.
It's limited, that I can say.
And the one thing that I think the residents asked for were some studies to be done, some traffic studies, some school system studies, if we could actually handle the volume for it. Have we done it? I could tell you for Washington Ave, where this would be through street now, there has not been a traffic study, because they would actually have to put that out there.
Could you continue, sir?
So, I mean, I know that we asked the council to do that due diligence. Has that been done, or are we starting it before we actually reintroduce this?
Well, traffic studies would occur if and when there was ever an application to develop that property. Otherwise, we'd have to do separate traffic studies throughout the township. I think right now, one of the things we've been charged with is to see if there's alternatives to that site, to see if we can get the legal agreement in place, to see if we can either, one of a few things, eliminate those two zones, which hasn't really happened throughout the county as far as I can tell and what Fair Share's saying, and put them somewhere else, which we're working on, or eliminate one of the zones, or it would be to reintroduce. But I can tell you that, you know, to say whether there's studies done, it would almost be, at the moment, not as pressing of as if the committee heard that residents were against it. So traffic studies or no traffic studies, the charge that I had was, see if there's some options available. So that's where we are. That
And
answers.
I appreciate it, but before we reintroduce, I would say maybe, you know, possibly putting that out there would be great for everybody.
Excuse me, I have a question. You said there was a 100% chance that Pioneer Trucking would be sold.
Not 100, I mean, we know that he's tried to develop the land.
How do you know this? Have you spoken to him? Give us information.
No, I'm just sure that there were points in the past that there's been offers to the business, to the landowners that were in that area. There were contracts shared. I know that.
Contracts?
Yeah, contracts. There were contracts.
Michael, what he's talking about is there were offers in the past, offers
Correct.
to that landowner, not by just this one particular developer that they're focusing on,
it was a
but
general
other developers who make offers on many open sections of land in Hanover Township. It's
Well, I
not
didn't know
un-
if you knew
It's
something
not
that we didn't.
unusual.
No.
No, I mean,
That's
we're
what
not,
we have a
we're not
conversation.
sure that you
If you
know
like,
Dick
you can
Kitchell wants
bring
to
it
sell,
up.
that's why we're curious, because our understanding is he has no interest in selling, so quite frankly, I'm shocked to hear that he's interested in selling, and I'd like to know how you know that.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. You know, again, we're trying to make a decision here, and.
I'm sorry, I just can't let it go on. I myself spoke with Dick Kitchell when you introduced the ordinance about the overlay zone. I took a copy of it down to him. I met with him in his office. He took it apart. He made copies of it, and he said, I've been waiting for this for a long time. I want to sell.